that's a bit of a lie. I did stream a minute ago for like 5 seconds because I wasn't sure if I had OBS set up right, but I did. So that's cool. Yeah. Okay. Let's get started. All right. Oh, I need to get my other keyboard because I'm going to be typing. Here we go. All right. We'll just get this all plugged in. Sorry, guys. First stream. Okay. Here we are. All right. And then I think I have it set up so that I can just go like that and it switches the view, but maybe not. Maybe not. That's okay. That's okay. I'll just do this. Okay, so I'm going to be working on, oh, I forgot to share in my Discord that I'm going live. There we go. Okay, I'm going to be working on some Codewars today. I thought that, well, I like doing Codewars. It's kind of how I goof off. I'm rated a level 4 Q right now, but I mostly do level 8Q and level 7Q katas, kind of on purpose and kind of because I'm lazy. So I think it's important, like the whole point of Codewars is to practice the fundamentals as far as I'm concerned, and to practice solving problems and seeing patterns and all that good stuff. So I like to do the level 8s and the level 7s and redo them many times so that I really drill the fundamentals so I don't even have to think about it anymore. And then if I feel like having a challenge more to do with logic or math, I'll do a level 6 or a level 5 kata, but honestly, like 90% of my katas are level 7 or level 8. But anyway, so I am going to be doing some level 8s today. I thought it might be fun to do some of the most completed level 8 katas, and then maybe some level 7s, some level 6s, you know, just kind of see how it goes. I don't really know. I am in a coding boot camp right now. It's a part-time boot camp. It's all online. It's 100% free. It's not a scam. You never have to pay anything back. It's called Learn with Leon. He's here on Twitch, and our classes are actually right here on Twitch every Tuesday and Thursday. And I'm a terrible streamer. I don't have my account set up at all to share any links or anything, but I will work on it. But our classes are 6:30 to 9:30 Eastern or 3:30 to 6:30 Pacific on Twitch here on Tuesdays and Thursdays. But anyway, I bring that up because part of our boot camp is getting ready to go out and get jobs, right? So we are tasked with practicing coding problems, but tasked with practicing them in a smart way so that when we do get to a tech interview, we aren't just going to be kind of sitting there, oh, I've got 2 people watching. That's cool. Hi, whoever you are. So anyway, we have to practice solving these problems in a certain way so that when we get to the technical interview, we're not just sitting there like, I'm just gonna do this really quietly and not talk the whole time. Or like, even worse, just try to do it the whole time and not even get it right in the end. So anyway, the whole point of doing these is to talk while you're doing them, which does not come naturally to me. I tend to be the one that just kind of like, duh, 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 duh. So this is good practice for me because a Twitch stream where nobody is talking is a terrible Twitch stream. So I figured, okay, if I stream myself doing these, I'll practice talking them out loud. So here we are. Anyway, I'm going to do, like I said, these are level 8. If you haven't been to Codewars before, basically, well, here, this is a good example. This multiply, you can see there are coding challenges in, let's see, 6, 7, I mean, at least 50 different coding languages. I'm doing JavaScript. My tech stack is the MERN JavaScript stack, so I like to stick with JavaScript. You just go on here. If you are new to Codewars, you can go over here to the left. There is this little magnifying glass. That's how you get to the kata search and selection screen. I'm going to be doing the easiest ones. The easiest ones are the highest number. Don't click on number 1 thinking that's the easiest. That would be a terrible mistake and you'll never want to come here again. So I'm going to do the easiest ones. I'm going to sort by most completed. I think that these filters are a lie. This easiest filter, in my experience anyway, oh, hey, Fiery Jake. In my experience anyway, and then Fiery Jake, tell me if you agree. The easiest ones are not the easiest ones. I don't know who said they're easy, but they're not the easiest ones. I like to sort by most completed to find the easiest ones. So here we go. And I figured I would just do a few easy ones and try to get practice talking while I do them. If the level 8s are kind of too obvious to where I can't really talk about them, I might bump up to a level 7s. Oh my gosh, filtering is everything. So yeah, before I click on any, I mean, like here, for example, if I go to my dashboard, it wants me to do a level 4. Like, I don't want to do a level 4 Codewars. Don't you know me by now? Like, I mean, I feel like Codewars and I should know each other better by now. I've done, you know, over 500 kata, and I don't even think that counts the ones that I've repeated, and they're all level 7 and level 8 for the most part, and a few level 6s and level 5s. Like, I don't want to do a level 4. They don't know me. So you go over to the left, go to kata. There's a few different options. So if somebody suggested a particular kata to you and they didn't tell you, give you a link, they just told you the name, you can obviously search by name. Or you can do what our teacher suggests when you're first getting started. You can go down, just scroll down. You can click on the different tags. So for example, for a while we had to start by only doing fundamentals. So you could do the fundamentals tag. This week we're actually supposed to be doing arrays. We're supposed to be drilling array methods so that we're sleeping and dreaming about arrays, right? So you would just click on arrays to filter only arrays, but look, so you can see there's all different levels of kata. So if you want to further filter, you can filter by the level of cue you want. You can see I'm now down filtered to 57. It is fun to do the tough ones. Yeah, sorry I'm not good at looking at chat yet. This is my first time. Yeah, I know. I tend to find so many from people asking about them in the Discord, and I'll just hop on here and do it, and then I'm like, yeah, I can help you now because I just did it. Anyway, but you can filter, so there's 57. I like to sort by most completed. And then also, I don't know if you know this, or if you tend to be like me, I'll start katas, and then either, I have 2 kids, so I'll get pulled away, or I just don't get it for whatever reason, my head's not in the right space. You can go here, and you can filter by ones you have not even looked at before, you've never trained on them. You can go to ones that you have not completed, so that'll include ones that you've never trained on, and ones that you started but you never finished, or you can go to ones that you've completed. So the ones you've completed is kind of just for if you want to redo them, but that's a nice way to filter as well. So if you go to, so right now we have level 8 array tagged ones that I have not ever even opened, and we're down to 2. So it really helps you filter quite a bit. Anyway, so I'm going to reload it all. I'm going to do level 8 and just the most completed, because I've got enough going on trying to figure out streaming without actually trying to use my brain too much. You can see I've done a lot of these, but I'll just redo them, it's fine. So you just click on it if you're new to Codewars. And I know this screen can be overwhelming. Codewars itself can be overwhelming. I actually wrote a blog post about just even signing up for Codewars and getting started, because I don't know if they meant for it to be intimidating, but it can be. You have to solve, granted, it's a very simple problem you have to solve, but you have to solve a coding challenge to even get the chance to sign up. So it's not the most user-friendly. I will become a better streamer and find a link to that blog post, just not right now. Anyway, so when you click on the kata, you'll get this screen. There's a description here. As you get to more complicated katas, this description will start to include examples and test cases and things like that. But you don't need to worry about that. You don't need to worry about anything else on the screen, to be honest. I usually just breeze right by it. And since I've done it before, it says train again. But if you've never done it before, it'll just say train. So you click on it, give it a second. Tammy, hey! I'm trying to get used to this whole streaming thing. I have no idea how long your high has been sitting there. Okay, so here we are. This is how you train on them. And again, it can be a little bit overwhelming. Don't freak out. You're going to see the name of the kata up here. Here's your description. This is the exact same thing that was on the previous screen. Once you start hitting these buttons in the bottom right, test and attempt. Can you guys see those? I hope so. Once you start hitting test and attempt in the bottom right, it'll start switching over to this output screen. Since I haven't clicked those yet, it's just a pointless screen at the moment. And then since I've done it before, I can see past solutions, but if it was your first time, you wouldn't be able to see the past solutions. And since I've done it before, I can click here at the bottom in the middle. I can click View Solutions, and it'll take me right to everybody's answers. If you have not done the kata before and you're stuck, I would recommend Googling things, asking your friends, anything before clicking View Solutions, because once you click on that button, you lose like the honor, the points you get for completing it. And I'm a bit of a completionist, so I will not click that button. I will never click that button if I can't figure something out. Like, I will ask every single person on this planet how to do it before I will click that button. But if you want to click that button, that's your business. Just know it'll come up with a warning screen saying, "Are you sure?" And then if you say yes, it'll show you the solutions. But okay, so the way that we are supposed to be solving our coding problems, I am going to type it out, but I'm also going to explain. We're supposed to be using something called prep, and that's just a word to help us remember how to do it. There's 4 steps. So a problem like this, you'd be tempted to just go ahead and fix it. And obviously, if I got this problem in an interview, I would think I was on like a prank reality show, because this is not interview worthy. But when you are in an interview, you're going to get hard enough problems that you're going to want to do this. So the first P is to talk about the parameters. So, in this case, it looks like they're giving us 2 numbers. So I say, okay, you're giving me 2 numbers. Are these numbers, and you're asking questions. So are these numbers going to be, in JavaScript it doesn't matter really, but are they floats? Are they integers? They're integers. Okay. Are these numbers going to be negative? Are they going to be positive? Okay. Are they going to be really big, really small? Right? So you're asking a bunch of questions. The idea is twofold, right? So at least as far as I understand. First, you want to make sure that you understand the problem and what they are going to be giving you, because the worst thing would be to just start working and you're working under an assumption that is entirely false. So you're asking these questions, you're trying to figure out these edge cases. And the second reason is, if you get your interviewer talking, they are going to start to understand your thought process. They're going to like you better than if you just sit there like a lump. So it's a bit strategic, right? Talking these things out. And, it kind of breaks the ice, because parameters are a pretty easy thing to talk about, right? Like, if somebody just told you, I'm going to give you 2 numbers, a really easy thing to say is, you're going to give me 2 numbers, right? Like, it's easy to start the conversation. So first, parameters. Second is, it is exciting. Second is returns. So again, okay, so you're giving me these 2 numbers, you want me to multiply them, and you want me to return it. Am I returning a number to you? Am I returning an array to you? Am I returning the number written out as a string? Make sure you know exactly what they want you to return. Again, this example is a little bit simple, but you want to ask all the questions, right? Okay, and then the next is examples. This is important. You want to literally say a couple of examples. Our teacher recommends writing down 3. So you would say something like, okay, you're going to give me 2 numbers. So say, for example, you gave me you gave me 5 or 6 and 3. If you were to give me the number 6 and 3, I was going to do my, my stuff. You're expecting me to return the number 18. Yes? And then they're going to say, yes, that's correct. And you say, okay, let me just run another example by you just to make sure. If you were to give me a negative number, say you gave me -4 and 10, you're going to want me to return -40. Is that right? Yes, right? So again, the examples are great for multiple reasons. All of the steps in this are great for multiple reasons. Number 1, you're double checking that you understand what they want you to do. Number two, you're getting them saying yes. Because you're not going to give them an example exactly fiery. You're not going to give them an example that's wrong on purpose, right? So chances are they're going to say yes. And it's like, yes, my face, yes, my face. So they're associating you with the word yes. Give me a job. Yes. So anyway, you want to write down at least 3 examples. Oh, and I forgot the most important thing. This should really be called, like, I don't know, write and prep, because before you start doing any of this, you want to write down what they asked you to do, okay? So that should be before any of the prep steps. So, chances are they're not going to give you a piece of paper and say, here's your problem. So they're going to say it out loud, right? They're going to say, I've got an apple cart and it can hold 40 crates of apples, and each apple crate can hold 8 green apples and 12 red apples. They're going to be throwing a lot of information at you. Write it down so that you're not that ass that about 20 minutes into it forgot what the question was and has to ask them. Nobody wants to be that guy, right? So write it down. So it should be write and prep. Yeah. Anyway, so you're going to write your example. So you've written down your problem. You've figured out the parameters, all the edge cases, all that fun stuff. You've figured out what they want you to return. You know how they want it formatted, all that good stuff. You've written examples. They are like your receipts. You're like, well, this is what you told me you wanted, so here it is. And they're saying yes, they like you. The last step is pseudocode. So it starts with a P, that's why it's prep, even though it sounds like an S. So what you would do is you would write out in plain English what you're going to do. So you could say something like, okay, so I'm going to have a function. It's going to take in 2 parameters. I'll call them A and B. And I'm not the best at pseudocode yet, but I'm trying. So, you're going to give me 2 parameters, A and B. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do A times B. I'm going to need to return that, multiplication. So I'll do return A and B. This, again, is not the best problem to pseudocode, but that would be the process. So anyway, that's prep. So this one is multiply. They've already written a function. You have to solve it. Here the problem is they're not returning. So I'm just going to do return. I can do test cases, which are down here. And I don't think everybody realizes about what these test cases are. So don't just go straight to attempt when you do these. I mean, with this one you probably could. These test cases, if you look, try not to get distracted by this whole describe, multiply, fix, test, all that. Look where they're calling your function, right? So our function is multiply. Here's the function multiply. It's saying if we were to pass in the numbers 1 and 1, and then what they're expecting the result to be. 2 and 2, what they're expecting the result to be. So when I hit test, it came over here. It automatically switched me to the output screen. And I passed all the tests. Okay, great. I'm going to hit attempt now. I still haven't technically completed this, so I need to hit attempt. Sometimes when you hit attempt, even when you've passed all of the tests, you will get some failed cases. That's because a lot of times when people write these challenges, they leave out edge cases in the tests, and they'll only include them in the real attempt. That can be frustrating, especially when you have a bit of a harder challenge and maybe you've been doing it a certain way, and then when you pass all the tests, you're feeling yourself, and then when you get to attempting, it's like you failed 99 of the tests because you missed a whole edge case scenario that you didn't think about. The other thing is a lot of times, and it's frustrating, like it just is what it is. What I do when I get failed tests like that is the first thing I will do to troubleshoot is I'll go in and I will put a console log of my parameters as the very first thing, and then I'll console log whatever I expect my return to be. And that helps because, at least for me, over on this screen, you can't always tell which tests you failed. It'll just say, oh, you failed. And you're kind of sitting there like, thank you. And sometimes it'll just say, oh, you failed and we expected this answer, but you don't know which one it's referring to as far as which inputs you failed with. So doing this will What did I do? Console. Oh. I'm like, how did I fail the easiest kata in the world? That's funny. Anyway, doing this, see, it now I can see which values I had associated with the test, right? So that's just a fun little hint for you all. Another thing that I tend to fail with a lot on the attempts versus the tests, and this is more in the higher ones, so like level 6s, level 5s, is that's when you start running into speed issues, and you might time out. Like if you have a lot of nested loops or something, you might time out and you have to refactor your code because it's just not fast enough. It only gives you 12 seconds to have all the tests run, and depending on how you wrote your code, it might not run in 12 seconds. But anyway, okay. You guys are hanging around. That's cool. Okay, so anyway, let's do some more. Let's do some level 7s. I can't really talk through prep very easily with level 8s. I did actually just put out a Twitter thread, I guess, this morning with some level 8 array challenges that I enjoy. Because, like I said, we are drilling arrays and their methods this week. And yeah, I like to help out my friends. So check out my Twitter at, God, what is my Twitter? At Barbara Law? At blah blah law? I don't know. How bad am I? At blah blah law. Okay, there you go. That's my Twitter. Okay, so we're going to do a level 7 most completed. So let's do the most completed level 7 there is. Vowel count. You can see that the description is getting a little more interesting than it was on the level 8. It says return the number. Okay, so there's our answer. Number, count of vowels in the given string. We're going to consider A, E, I, O, U as vowels for this kata, but not Y. The input string will consist of only lowercase letters and or spaces. Okay, so I kind of remember that this one I did not do this the best solution way. So we'll see. Okay, you can see this one they started out with a nice little skeleton for you already. We're going to do our prep stuff down below here. Okay, I'm going to say write and prep. Now, obviously, maybe not so obviously, in an interview, you're not actually literally going to write and prep and make it look like, that would be like counting when you're dancing, right? Like you're not going to write that out. You're just going to write out the relevant things. But it's good to say it just in case. Anyway, so I'm going to write out the problem. I'm going to pretend that I can't see the problem right here, and I'm just going to start writing. So, okay, so given a string, return the count of vowels in it. That's a terrible sentence. Okay, so my first P is parameters. Okay, so if you were in an interview, you would be sitting with a person, but in this case, they say the input string will consist, so the input, so they're going to be giving me a string, and I could ask them, is the string going to be empty? Here it doesn't say, so I'm going to say it might be empty. Is the string going to, be uppercase and lowercase, capital letters, lowercase letters? And they're like, no, actually, it's going to be only lowercase. And I'm like, oh, great. I don't have to deal with capital letters. That's good to know. And then they say, oh, it's also going to have spaces. Oh, okay, so may have spaces, right? So that's the parameters on this one. Hi, whoever tuned in. And now R, that is returns. So again, please don't actually write PREP out on the whiteboard when you're interviewing, but write it out in your head. So the returns. Okay, so you want me to return a number, correct? Correct. And that number is going to be the total count of all the vowels in the string. Correct. So just to make sure, if if the letter A appeared 3 times, would I count that letter A 3 times? Oh, yes, that's what I mean. Yes. Okay, great. So you ask all those fun questions. I'm just going to say good stuff, return number. Then the next is examples. And on Codewars, a lot of times you can just look at the test cases for good examples. So here, for example, they have the string abracadabra. And I'd say, okay, so abracadabra, I'd return the number 5 for that, right? And they'd say yes. I'd say great. And then I could do another one like butts. I'd return the number 1 for that, right? Yes. Okay, and then gnomes. It was me. I put the gnome butt up in class the other day. Gnomes, I'd return the number 2 for that, right? Yes. Okay, so remember, I'm getting examples. I'm checking my understanding. I'm giving examples that I'm pretty sure are right. They're saying yes. We're best friends now. All is good. Okay, so after examples is pseudocode. Pseudocode. By the way, how is the sound quality? I don't have a fancy microphone. I'm just using my headphone thing. Let me know, because I think I have a microphone somewhere in the house. I don't know how good it is, but it might work better. Okay, so pseudocode, I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to take in a string. I'm going to set total. I'm not very good at pseudocode, so I'm still trying to think how to say it. I'm going to start total count at 0. I'm going to go through each character of the string and add vowel instances to the count, and then I'm going to return the count. Added. Oh, awesome. And welcome, by the way. Hey, Chaotic Rage. Okay. In case you missed the beginning, I'm going through a coding bootcamp right now, and part of our interview prep, career prep, whatever you want to call it, the get a job part, is practicing coding problems, and we're trying to practice them using the keyword prep. So the idea is when somebody gives you a coding challenge, first you write it down in your own words to make sure you don't forget halfway through and look like a jackass asking them what they asked you. And then you would do prep. So P is for parameters, R is for returns, E is for examples, and the final P is for pseudocode. And then after you've done all of that is when you finally actually write the code. And I'm doing a level 7 right now, which truly probably doesn't require all these steps, but it's my first stream. I didn't want to stress my brain too much, so here we are. Okay, so that's my pseudocode. So I'm actually going to take that part out, put it here. Okay, and I'm going to make this big just so you all can see. Let me know if you can see that. Okay, so they gave me this part in the middle here. They gave me a function, all right, it's get count. You never want to, in Codewars, you never want to change the name of the function because all of the test cases are based on that function name. So never change that. You never want to change the number of parameters in a Codewars either because, again, all of the Codewars test cases are written based on the number of parameters. You can change the parameter name. Like, I could name this gnome butts if I wanted to. I won't today, but maybe I will tomorrow. But you can change that if it makes you feel better. So just so you know. Anyway, so they also gave me a little bit of a leg up. They did put a return for me already. They're calling it Vowel Count, which makes sense because I am returning the count of the number of vowels. And they also did make a variable called Vowel Count that they set to 0. So I had that as part of my pseudocode, was starting a total count at 0. I'm actually going to change this to let, just because when people use var, it kind of gets on my nerves. So that part's already done. I'm taking in the string. That's done. And obviously, you wouldn't need to erase like this in an interview. It's probably best to keep it there. I just don't like it. It looks ugly on the screen, so I am. Okay, so they set it to 0 already. I'm going to go through each character of the string and add the vowel instances to the count. Now, you can do this a few different ways, right? So you could do a regex. You could make a string called vowels. It's just A-E-I-O-U, right? You could check each vowel like individually, like is it A, is it E, is it I, right? There's a few different ways to do it. I don't think that we need to judge today the different ways to do it. I'm not a regex expert, so I'm not going to do regex today. I know it's very simple with regex, and I do believe it's something like slash, like something like that. But we're not going to do regex today. So let's just, for the sake of argument, let's just make a string called vowels that contains our vowels. We'll just do it this way today, just because why not, right? And go through it. Do I want to use a loop? Do I want to use a string method? Do I want to split my string into an array and use an array method? There are a bunch of different ways to do this. Some are better than others. Some are a little bit more language agnostic than others. I mean, whatever. And in an interview, right, there's going to be more than one way to answer the question, right? On one hand, excuse me, on one hand, it's great to use the JavaScript methods, right? You're showing the interviewer that you're up to date. You're deeply familiar with the language. You know the methods that are going to save you time and effort and read very prettily to use. But then there is also something to be said for, say you're interviewing for a job where they use, Python, right? And by some miracle, you got the interview, but you don't know the Python methods. I mean, I don't type in Python, so I don't even know if they're called methods in Python. So, maybe you don't want to rely on a JavaScript method. Maybe you do want to just do a for loop and explain that, there's a loop, there are loops in every language, right? So I think it's good to know all the different ways. It's good to know regex. If any job won't hire me because I didn't write something in regex, I probably don't want that job. Because in real life, I would just Google how to search for, Anyway. So today, let's do, anybody have a way they want to do it? Or else I'll just pick one. Let's just do a loop. I love a good loop. So I'm going to say for let I equals 0, I is less than string.length, I plus plus. Okay. This is not the fanciest way to do this, but whatever. I do love a good for loop. Okay, if, because I'm checking something, right? So if I'm checking for something in my head, that's an if. So if string at character I, which I could do string.char at I, but you can also just use a bracket notation, which I think is just easier. If that character, actually, I'm going to say if vowels, right, my string up here. I'm trying to think the best way to do this. I'm going to make this this is not the most efficient way at all, but I just feel like doing this today. I've been doing arrays all morning between doing some for my own practice and finding some for people, so I'm in an array mood. Okay, if vowels dot includes string of I, okay, so if the character at I in this string is in this array of vowels, and remember we're only being given lowercase ones, then I will increment vowels count by 1. It's going to take me through all the things in the string, and then I'm going to return vowels count. Let's see. I know this isn't, like, don't hate on me. I know this isn't, like, the prettiest or, you could do this in a line, but it is what it is. So I did my test cases. They work. So pretty. We're going to do our attempts. Strings also have includes. They do. That's right. Do you ever do something for a while and you just get so, like, I don't know, was it tunnel vision on that thing, right? So I was doing array methods last night. I was reading about array methods last night. This morning I've been doing array katas that are all arrays. And then I was looking for array katas that are level 8s to share with people. So I'm just like, all I see are arrays as far as the eye can see. But anyway, we passed all the tests. So you can hit submit. And then this is the fun part of Codewars. So pretend we spent half an hour and like 50 lines writing this thing, right? We're proud of it. We slogged through it. There were fails, there were wins. Finally we got it. Finally we submitted it. And then you look and the first solution is almost always a one-line arrow function. This time it's not an arrow function, but just get used to that sting, you guys, all right? Because yeah, the array version is definitely more useful. I just like arrays better in general. But anyway, get used to the feeling of having a 10-line, 20-line solution and then coming to see somebody doing it in one. So here, the best voted one is sorted by best practices right now. So the one that most people have voted up as the best practice solution uses regex. And like I said, like if I wasn't in an interview and wasn't pretending to be in an interview, I would just Google how to do the regex because this is like written for regex, right? Like, yeah, is it this? Return the length, right? Okay. So I tend to scroll past the regex ones and look at the other versions too. Here, look, somebody did an array just like we did. They looped through it. What is this? Why is it nested? Oh, I see. Okay, so first they're looping through the string. So they're looping through abracadabra, one letter at a time. And then in that, they're looping through the vowels to see if, so instead of using includes, they're checking each vowel one at a time. I'm honestly a little surprised that was voted as high as it is. Although, like I said, it is language agnostic to do it this way. All right, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. Another regex one. A filter. You can tell that this person did not do their prep because they included the capital letters, which we all know from doing the prep and finding out about the parameters was that we would never be given an uppercase input. So for shame, just go to my no. But they don't need that part. Anyway, but they did a filter and they just did the dot length. That's a good way to do it. And oh, they split it, yeah. So that's that. Do you all want to do another one? Maybe, possibly, perhaps. Defensive coding. It's not defensive though if they already, are you talking about the capital letters? Because they specifically said they were only going to have lowercase. Or I don't know. Tell me what you're talking about. I'm so bad about checking the screen as I speak, so things get out of context. Okay, we could do, I'm going to be honest, I don't really want to do a hard one that I haven't done before for my first stream because I'm feeling a little shy and a little vulnerable, so I don't want to like shoot myself in the foot. In fact, I could probably do one of these. Oh, this one's kind of fun. If this is the one I think it is, this one's kind of fun. Hey, Diviker. It is. Okay. Excuse me. This one, when I first solved this one, it was at least 10 lines of code, right? And I was feeling myself. Like I thought, yeah, I did it. I'm awesome, right? You go to the top solution for this one, and this is what's waiting for you. Let it load. I don't know why the solutions load so slowly on this. It's like, are you sure? this, I think this is actually the one that inspired me to write. I wrote a Codewars haiku, and I think this is the one that inspired me because I got to the solution and I was like, are you serious right now? Oh, okay, yeah. Fiery Drake says defensive coding is when you do things that aren't technically necessary because code and requirements change. Okay, so in the previous kata, even though we were told the parameters would only have lowercase letters, the person that did a certain solution included uppercase vowels as well, just defensively in case the requirements or the parameters changed in the. No, I don't want to become famous. Go away. Yeah. So anyway, this this one. Okay, here's the description. First of all, okay, description. This is a level 6. Digital root is the recursive sum of all the digits in a number. So you just keep reducing it. Given n, take the number of digits of n. If that value has more than one digit, so say the number is here, for example, 16, continue reducing it this way until a single digit number is produced. This isn't the best, but basically you add the digits together until the sum of the digits is a single digit, right? So 16, you only have to do it once, you get 7. 942, you would do 9 plus 4 plus 2 is 15. You would have to reduce it again. 1 plus 5 is 6, right? So it's intense, right? It's not nothing for sure. Well, the first time I did this one, oh, give me a second. Just a second. Somebody's trying to find my stream. I am a terrible streamer. Anyway, so the first time I did this one, I figured it out. I did it. It takes you to that solutions page, and this is what I saw. Function, digital root of n, return, n minus 1 modulo 9 plus 1. I need to pull a Leon. Right? What? and I will say this solution is a thing of beauty. It has nothing, I mean, okay, it has to do with coding because you have to understand modulo and stuff, but it's more of a math trick that I will never forget the solution because it's just so beautiful. Because here, compare this was my solution. This was my solution when I did this for the first time a month ago or so. It's, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 lines long, right? And I thought I was pretty hot shit. And then you go, and there's just this beautiful mathematical solution. It's so elegant. And it just, I had to read up on it and why it works. And basically, any number moduloed by 9 is going to be, here, somebody explains it better. But basically, it's just a trick. It's a trick of math. It's kind of like the, what's the theorem to get a sum of consecutive numbers? It's like the Gaussian theorem where it's like just n plus 1 times n divided by 2, something like that. It's the same sort of thing. Here, this is a good explanation. Modulo 2 or modulo 9 arithmetic, any number multiplied by 10 is the same number. So we can show this. So you can say, here's a good example. These examples are ugly. But basically, if you multiply a number by 10 and then you modulo it, you're kind of getting itself. And then you're just going to plot. I don't know. It was beautiful. I spent a long time staring at this to understand it. But, right, at the same time, I don't think it should be the best practice solution. I said it. I think it is exceptionally clever. I think, like, it is clever. It is beautiful. It's, but I don't think it's the best solution. I think that the best solution is probably, let's see, probably this one right here. It's a recursive function. They're saying, okay, if n is less than 10, return n. If that doesn't fire, then you're going to return the digital root of, and they're basically splitting it, adding it, and feeding it back into this, and it just goes recursively. That, to me, is the best solution. What do you all think? I think that a lot of times arrow function one-line solutions get a lot of flex on here. I think that regex functions get a lot of props on here. And then mathematical solutions like this get a lot of props too, when honestly, if it were up to me, like a more coding-based answer would be the best practice to me. Like, I'm not saying this isn't clever. I think this is beautiful. I just think it's not the best practice. It's not the most readable, right? It's not the most readable. Like, somebody has to either be very familiar with math and its kind of tricks and quirks, or do a lot of Googling or go into the comments and scroll down and do, you know, I spent a good 5 to 10 minutes the first time I did this, understanding why this worked, and like even testing out, you know, like 10 different ones to see, like, maybe I can trick it. No. Yeah. So anyway, I think that in a coding interview as well, I feel like this would be the better answer, this second one. I think in a coding interview, this one with the recursive call and the split would be an infinitely better answer than this one. Now, if you happen to be in an interview and you knew a funny little trick like that one, maybe you would do this first one, and then if you had a good rapport with the interview at the end, which hopefully you will if you followed prep and you talk through it all, then you could say, oh, you know, it's kind of funny. I actually know this really weird quirk of math that does it, you know, and you could kind of flex your math skills there, right? But I think in an interview, it would be a mistake to do something like this. I think that it would be much better to show your knowledge of the coding language, unless you're interviewing to become a mathematician / coder, right? I think it would be better to show your knowledge of recursion, so show your knowledge of, you know, methods like string methods and reduce and split and all that good stuff. Yeah, that's my little rant. And then other times, I can't think of any off the bat. I don't know if anyone has a good example, but there'll be katas, a lot of them, where the top-rated best practice is a very unreadable, abstract-looking one-line arrow function. And for a while, it really kind of like brought me down a bit to see those, until I kind of got used to it. And I'm like, whatever, Codewars. Because I would feel really good about my solution. Like, say my solution was like 3 lines, and I would feel really good about it. And then I'd look at this really weird looking arrow function that honestly I couldn't even read without sitting there and just really staring at it for a while. And it would get voted best practice. And I disagree with those. I think that good code, there's a happy medium, right? Like, yes, it should be concise. It should, you know, be dry, but at the same time, it should be readable. You're not an island. You're not going to be working by yourself. And I think that in an interview, it would be a dreadful mistake to go for, you know, like there's actually a thing called Codewars Golf, or just Coding Challenge Golf, where people try to get the shortest character count, the smallest character count when they're solving these. And I think it would be a mistake to do something like that in an interview. And that might be common sense, but maybe it's not, right? Like, you wouldn't go in an interview and return an arrow function with just like X and Y and A and B, when maybe there's a much more meaningful variable name that, you know, like maybe you have str for string. That's a lot more meaningful than, you know, S. Or, you know, TOT instead of T, right, for total. So that's my advice. But I'm not sure how long I want to stream for today. I have a lot to do today, but it's not really stuff I can do on stream. I have to work on my client site, and it's not it's not like shareable yet. She has chosen some very, oh, here, let me switch to the full me since I'm just chit-chatting. She has chosen, my client is an esthetician, and she's chosen, like, how far are you with your client site? Well, that's the thing. That's a whole other thing. So the colors she's chosen for her site are very bold. It's almost that color of my transition here is almost the color blue that she likes. And then she wants a similarly toned purple, right? So like, look at the transition color. Like she wants so they're very bold colors. But the layout of her site, the design of her site, which we agreed on, it lends itself to a more subtle look. Like it would be too much to have those colors full on. So right now I'm really, I'm not a designer. I'm really working hard to make her vision make sense with the design without it looking like, I mean, it's an esthetician, right? It's not, it has to have a certain vibe, right? Like, because her whole vibe, like, oh my gosh, we actually did a barter for the contract. So I'm getting facials out of it, which is glorious. And I mean, like, her whole vibe of the place is it's very zen, it's like away from the world. So those colors, like it's a really delicate thing to make the colors. Anyway, so I don't want to stream it while I'm messing with the colors because it looks really bad right now while I'm messing with the colors. But so how far am I is, again, I don't want to say too much on stream. So my client is very busy. She has her esthetician business, but she also has another job on top of that. So she's a very busy person. And she and I, it's like email tag. Like I'll say, I need this thing. And then, she's busy. She'll finally send the thing. And then by the time she sends it, I'm busy. So then I end up looking at it and I'm like, oh, I need this thing, right? So everything bounces back and forth. So it's pretty well skeletoned out as far as layout. Like it's ready. I just need the copy, which I need some more information from her to finish up writing the copy. Like writing the copy was part of the contract. And like I said, the colors are, I want it to look beautiful. And the colors are beautiful colors. Don't get me wrong. They're beautiful colors. It's just, I'm not a designer. Like it doesn't come quickly to me like, oh, here's these beautiful colors. Here's this design. How do I make them go together, right? Like it's more of me with the inspector tool open going like, what about if I make that color? Ooh, nope. What if I make that color? Ugh, like what if I made this border smaller? Things like that. So I don't think I'm going to get a job as a front-end designer anytime soon because that's not me. But I don't know. What about you guys? Are you all working with clients right now? Doing anything like that? I have another client that I want to get started with, but that I keep pushing off. It's my best friend and her husband, well, one of my best friends and her husband, they own a local plumbing business. So they have a site already. So it's not a gigantic rush. And they want me to redesign their site, which is awesome. But I kept putting it off because I'm like, oh, this other client, I want to finish her site first. But everything keeps happening. So I just have a worry, and maybe you guys have some advice here. I have a worry that if I take on, because I feel like I can push my friend off with the plumbing site until I sign the contract. And I feel like once I've signed the contract, to me, that means that you're my priority and that's what I'm working on, right? So I've been pushing it off with her because I'm like, oh, I want to finish up this other client site first. And I just have a worry that the second I sign this contract with my friend, all of a sudden my first client is going to magically, like Murphy's Law, become available and want to finish up all the work on their site as quickly as possible. So I don't know if you all have any advice. I could use advice on that. But I think I'm going to, I don't know. See, I really want to make the other, I don't know. I want to make them both, but I can't wait forever on the one. But then I'll feel really bad if I start on the other. And this month is really, April was just horrible. But right now it's really ramping up as far as busyness in the boot camp that I'm currently in. We have we're doing all the interview prep stuff, which involves a lot of preparing for technical questions, preparing for behavioral questions, which that's a whole other stream. Whew. And then on top of that, we're working on our portfolio projects, right? So we each have a 100 hours project that we're working on. And it's due, what's today? It's due, an MVP for that is due in about 2.5 weeks. And if it's supposed to be a 100-hour project, I'm at about 3 hours. So, I have a lot going on. So I probably shouldn't sign my plumbing website contract anytime soon either. But I also would love to have a complete site like that for my portfolio. So, I don't know. Boot camp life, right? I don't know how people do it that have, the 12-hour day boot camps and take on clients during it. I truly don't. I truly don't know how they do it. If any of you are in a 12-hour day boot camp, props to you, because I just... Well, first of all, I could not do it. I have a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old who, like, their dad can be sitting, like, he could literally be sitting right here. Like, this could be my husband right here. And I could be, like, in headphones talking to people with, like, 20 screens, right, doing something. And he could just be sitting there with, like, I can help you sign. They will walk right past him to me for stuff, right? So, like, there's no way I could do a 12-hour boot camp. Like, we would not survive. This weekend, our boot camp, and it's here on Twitch. Let me actually share a link. This weekend, our boot camp is having I hope this is the right link, on Sunday, a 7-ish hours, approximately 6 or 7 hours back-end JavaScript crash course review. And I want to watch it because April was rough for me, and I do not feel comfortable with the back end. I absolutely want to watch it, and I want to watch it live. So, yeah, like, my husband's just going to have to deal with the kids for 7 hours. I don't know what I'm going to do. In normal times, I would have just, gone to the library or Starbucks or something, right? Can't do that. So I don't know what I'm going to do for 7 hours. I guess I'll lock myself in my room and put up a barricade. I don't know. I could go out the front door as if I'm leaving the house and then sneak in, because our bedroom has French doors, sneak in through the French doors into my room so the kids don't know that I'm home. That might be something I have to do, you guys. Is that crazy? Is that a little too wild? That might be something I have to do. Now that I think of that idea, I think that might be the best thing. The only trouble is, what happens if I have to go to the bathroom? They're going to hear it flush. Anyway. Okay, let's do one more Code Wars, and then I think that I will probably call it a day, unless you all have something else you want to talk about. Because I like talking to you guys. This is fun. I think my setup's decent. Okay, so again, Code Wars, not the most friendly thing. Let me get my link to my Code Wars thing for you guys. Wow, you guys can see all my history here. Gonna get my turn. All right, here you go. I'm going to link this in the chat. Quick question, when am I applying for jobs? I'm going to start applying. Everybody in the bootcamp is going to apply at different times, right? I'm probably going to start applying without too much expectation at the beginning of June. I'm going to get more serious about it probably towards the middle of June onwards. I don't feel like I'll be prepared enough with my interview questions until then. And yeah, on my project, I want my portfolio project to be very solid before I start applying places. Now, having said that, I have had a couple of recruiters reach out to me on LinkedIn, and up until as late as last week, I was kind of blowing them off and saying, in the summer. But I got one this morning that I think I might actually reply to as if I'm looking for a job right now, because I am not naive enough to think that I'm going to go into the first interview. I'm not naive enough to think I'm going to get an interview straight away, first of all. And I'm definitely not naive enough to think that I'm going to go into my first interview and nail it. Like, I'm going to make a complete ass of myself in probably a half dozen interviews easily. And I'd like to get those out of the way while I'm not that qualified. But that's just me. So yeah, I don't know. And the other thing is, my kids do not have school in the summer. So truly, I probably couldn't even start working full time until August. But then again, that would be a happy problem, right? Say I got my dream job offer midsummer. Well, then you better believe I'd be finding a nanny or something because I'd be making bank then. But yeah, short answer, middle of June, I'll start applying seriously, hopefully. But okay, Codewars, good question. That's Yolanda, right? You have like 20 different screen names, but I think that's you. If it is, hey. Codewars. So if you are new to Codewars, please check out that blog post that I linked. That kind of gets you past the initial hump of signing up for Codewars and a little bit about the layout. Basically, Codewars likes to pick on people. I don't know. This is my dashboard. Codewars is recommending I do a level 4. I don't want to do level 4. I feel like Codewars should know me by now, and it should know that I like doing level 7s and 8s, and I like doing them multiple times. And sometimes I'll like to do level 6. So I ignore this screen completely. I always go over here to the left to Kata. I let it load. And then if you want to get a particular type of challenge, you can go here on the left. We are doing arrays this week, so I might as well click arrays. You'll notice when you click that, even if I had clicked, here, let me do it again. So I just went to Kata's. Even if, say, I said, oh, I want to do a level 7 for sure. Even if I clicked that first and then clicked the tag, it just reverts back to all the levels of the tag. So you might as well click the tag first and then do all this stuff. So say I want to do a level 7. Yes, you do need to send me the list of level 8s. You do. Oh my gosh, you can't see my screen. That's so funny. Oh my God, I'm the worst streamer. There you go. Thanks, Diffiker. You guys have just been staring at my face this whole time. I'm sorry. It's pretty funny, actually. Okay, cool. So anyway, I was saying here, when you go to the Kata, like when you go to Codewars, I ignore my dashboard completely, and I just go here to Kata on the left. And if you scroll down, here are nice little tags. This week we're doing arrays for our boot camp, so I'll just click arrays. I probably want to do a level 7. I'll sort by most completed because that is truly, in my opinion, the list of the easiest ones. Not easiest. Easiest is not true. This is a lie. This is like the cake at the end of Portal. This is not, the cake is a lie. Easiest is a lie. Most completed. And again, you can do further filtering here. You can, this is kind of a fun one. You can see beta ones and try for betas. There aren't always too many betas at the lower levels, so I always just leave it at approved anyway. And you can also choose to only see ones that you've completed, which you can see if I've completed one because there's a checkbox here. You can choose to see ones that you haven't ever even attempted. That's the I have not trained on. Or you can see any of the ones that you have not completed yet. So that, I believe, includes ones that you have started and haven't finished and ones that you haven't touched before. So let's do ones I haven't trained on. Which, by the way, this, let me go back a second. For whatever reason, this level 7 Jaden case strings, which is the most completed array one at level 7, took me ages. I started and stopped that one like no less than a dozen times. I don't know what was my hold up with that one, but yeah, Jaden. Anyway, just thought I'd share that. Okay. Oh, wait, I wanted ones I've not trained on. Okay. I wasn't planning on doing anything that involved me figuring anything out live, but maybe I'll try. Let's see. Use reduce to calculate the sum of the values in an array. It's telling me what to use. I might try that out. Yeah, as her little ball. I thought I set up the what do you call it? The hotkeys, but I don't think I did it right. Does that work? No, see? Ugh, streaming, man. I'm just happy I got it figured out and figure out how to put this pretty little frame on it. Whatever. I'll figure out the hotkeys for next time. Okay, use reduce to calculate the sum of values in an array. I've never done this one before. Make the sum function return the sum of the values in the past in array. Okay, so we're going to be getting an array. And it looks like we're returning a number. Your solution must use the reduce function, no problem, of the built-in JavaScript array object. If you're not familiar with reduce, you can go ahead and read the documentation. This is quite possibly the most helpful description I've ever read on Codewars. Not only do they tell you exactly which method to use, they're also using very nice language to say it is the reduce function, so the reduce method of the array object. That's very nice. That's like good for you to remember. And they even link you over to the documentation. Is it the MDM? Yes. I mean, come on. Like, very helpful. Very helpful. What? Look at that. Look at how helpful that is. Anyway, they get 5 out of 5 stars for that. Fester, bester, tester. Okay, so anyway, you're going to have function sum array. You're going to use reduce to return the sum of the values in the array. Here you go. Okay. Let's train. We're going to do this with prep because it's good practice. If you remember prep, you want to remember the word write before prep. Pretend somebody told me this, right? So they said, okay, I'm going to be giving you an array and I need you to return the sum of the values in that array. Okay, so I'm going to say, oh, do you mind if I just write that down real quick? I'd hate to forget it. And they say, oh, no problem, go ahead. So you say, okay, given an array, return the sum of the values in that array using reduce, okay? And the first P is parameters. Parameters, oh my God. All right, parameters. So I would ask, you're going to be giving me an array, correct? Correct, yes. Is this array going to only contain numbers? Yes, it'll only contain numbers. So just to verify, the numbers in that array are all going to be of the type number, correct? There won't be strings of the digits. That's correct. They're all going to be of the type number. Oh, thank you very much. And I just want to make sure, is it going to be a one-dimensional array, or do I need to worry about nested arrays of numbers within the array? Oh, that's a very good question, Barbara. It's only going to be a one-dimensional array. Oh, great. Okay, so a one-dimensional, let me just one-dimensional array of numbers. And then I probably want to ask them, is there, will there ever be anything passed in that won't be an array of numbers? We'll only ever pass in arrays, but sometimes it might be an empty array. Thank you. Okay. Okay. And returns. Okay. So I want to ask about what they expect. Okay, so as I understand it, you're going to be giving me an array that's going to have various numbers in it, and you want me to return the sum of the values of the elements of that array. Do you want me to return that just as a number, or how would you like that returned? Just as a number would be fine. Thanks, Barbara. You're rocking it. Okay, so as a number, so return as a number, the sum. Does anybody else end up writing the like that a lot when they're typing? The sum of the values in the array. That's an easy return, right? Then they didn't say anything. I mean, this Codewars doesn't say anything about if it might be an empty array, but let's say for now that it might not be an empty array because they didn't mention it. In a real interview, you would ask, right? And you'd say, oh, if it is an empty array, what would you like me to return? And they'd probably say something like, oh, 0, or a string that says this array was empty, right? So you'd ask, okay? You want to make sure to ask about edge cases. Okay, so then the E is for examples. You always want to ask about at least 3 examples, right? You want to cover a nice mix of of possible inputs and outputs, right? So, okay, I just want to check that I'm understanding. I want to make sure to give you what you want. So if, for example, I was given the array 1, 2, 3, 4, you would expect me to return the number 10, correct? Right? So, yes, that's the right number. That's correct, yes. Remember, you're getting them to say yes. They're looking at you, you're looking at them, they're saying yes, you're thinking, give me a job. It's good stuff. Okay, and I just want to make sure, I forgot to ask. See, I forgot to ask in parameters if the numbers would be negative too. It doesn't really matter for the solution, so I'm not too worried about that, but it would be good to ask. Okay, so then I'm going to say something like, okay, another example, if the numbers were, I don't know, that's going to get, what's that, 31 minus 3 is 28. That would return 28, right? Is that right, you guys? And they're going to say, yes, excellent at math, Barbara. Thank you. Okay, and then you would do, like 1, and then it's like a million times, right? So it's a million ones, right? And you say, okay, this is going to return 1,000,001, correct? Yes, that's right. Okay, so those are our examples. And then the final step of prep before you ever write any code is you want to do some pseudocode. Now, pseudocode is important, and it's hard for me, and that's part of the reason that I'm even doing this stream. It does not come naturally to me. It is talking while I'm thinking is not, that is not my normal way of being. I usually am a very silent thinker. So pseudocode is good. It forces you to vocalize your thought process. It forces you to think ahead of time, because remember, you're going to be in an interview. You're going to be nervous. It forces you to think ahead of time logically how you're going to get to the answer you want. And bonus, if you start writing something in pseudocode that maybe isn't the right way to go, by now your interviewer and you've been talking a bit, right? They might kind of give you a heads up that you're heading in the wrong direction before you get into the nitty-gritty of writing code, right? Like if you've just written it in plain English, they might be like, oh, but what if about this? And they might kind of direct you a little bit. So pseudocode's great. It gives them an insight into how you're thinking. It helps you organize your brain. Good stuff. Okay, so the pseudocode for this, I would say, okay, function. This is my life. Function will take in an array of numbers. Then, so the function will take in an array of numbers. I will use reduce to sum the numbers, and I will return that sum. All right, that's my pseudocode. And remember, in an interview, you will not literally write out PREP. Please don't do that. You can just say it in your head, okay? Saying that out loud is like counting out loud when you're dancing, right? It's like 1, 2, 3, 4. You don't do it, right? Do it in your head. You can do it. Okay, so function sum array. So I'm going to return, we're going to do, are you allowed to use array like that as the name of a variable? I would assume so since they're using it, but I'm just going to change it to R. I tend to use R when I have an array as a parameter. And someone tell me if that's a reserved, it seems like it's a reserved word. Anyway, R. Plus it's just fun to say R. Okay, R.reduce. You're going to have your, you're going to have your accumulator and your current value. And you're just going to do accumulator plus current. And if you want, you can set a starting value. We know arrays, okay. So lowercase a is fine, capital A is reserved. Yeah, I don't know, I just like using R. I mean, you sound like a pirate, and you're definitely not going into fuzzy area with reserved words. Thanks, guys. Thank you. That saved me a Google. So anyway, reduce, basically you have an accumulator and you have a current value, and what it'll do is it'll go through an array and it'll add the current value that it's looking at to the accumulated value. If you do not put this comma 0, this is basically adding an optional starting value. If you don't put this, it will use the first element of the array as the starting value. So in this example down here, this test 1 in the sample test area, if I did not put that 0, it would use the starting accumulated value as 1, which is fine. We knew that this example, it was only ever going to pass in numbers. It was never going to pass in words. It was never going to pass in anything else. Like, there wasn't any worry about that, so I could have gotten away with not having a 0 here, but it doesn't hurt to have it, right? So it kind of defaults to the first thing, but it's nice to include it. Anyway, so r.reduce, I'm adding through, I'm adding them up, and I need to return what this makes, so I might as well just hit return right there. Hit test. R. I passed, you guys. So you see here it has passed 2. If you look in the sample test area, there are 2 tests. These are the 2 that this is referring to. Sometimes people have more tests there, some people have less. And it's nice here they actually include, you got your values. They don't always say that. Sometimes it just says test passed, test passed. I enjoy this Faster Bester Testers way of setting these kata up. So what I'll do is I'll hit attempt. That is going to run through about 100 different versions, so 58, and I pass them all. If I had failed any, and that does happen, that happens a lot, where you'll pass all the tests, but you'll fail some of the true attempts, then you need to start to troubleshoot. You want to, if that happens, you want to start thinking about edge cases. You want to start thinking about situations that you hadn't thought of, right? Because almost always that's going to be it. Another thing that can happen when you hit attempt on some of the more complex ones, when you start dealing with like loops and complexity and time complexity, is that sometimes you might time out. That means that it took more than 12 seconds for it to run all the tests. If you time out, the only thing you can really do is refactor your code and find a less complex, faster solution. But this was just using reduce. We did it. I'm going to hit submit. It is nice to see those greens the first time. Yeah, you've gotten greens the first time, surely. I think I've even seen you get greens the first time, Jennifer. Anyway, redo an old level 8. That's what I did earlier. Then you'll definitely get greens if it's one that you've done like 5 times before. I'm not joking when I say that I redo these. Like, I'm not joking. If you go to my GitHub, I have a repository with all of my Codewars solutions, and basically what I do every day, and I just realized I haven't been doing it while I've been talking to you all. I will open up, here's my atom. So here's my today file. Here's 2021, 429. I put the level of the kata. I copy the name of the kata. Usually I just type it, but this one's kind of long. And then I will put my solution, which I usually copy before I hit submit, but I can just grab it here. Oh my gosh, it's going to be so long because it's got all my prep stuff. That's okay. And I'll just copy it there. Anyway, I push a file like this to GitHub every day. So if you were to take the time to go through my GitHub and actually take the time to go through my GitHub and look day by day, you'd see so many repeats because I will redo them over and over, especially ones where when I get to the solutions page that I actually do agree that the top solution is better than the way that I did it. I will drill that kata until that better way is the way that I now do it, right? If I see a better way that is one of those unreadable one-line arrow functions that's just for the sake of winning Codewars golf, I will not drill that. If I see a one-line answer that is using, regex, I will not drill that. Although I really should learn regex better, but anyway, I do drill these. Like, I do a lot of repetition, which I think is part of the reason why I am, if you look at this is our clan, and I don't I don't think I'm really doxing anybody doing this because it's pretty public. I'm number 7. My honor rarely goes up because I redo things. Oh wait, you can't see. I'm on big me. Ah. I mean, I'm not a fan of regex. I just haven't got the time to learn it, right? I love when it works, and what I do is when I want to use regex, I just Google it. Like I actually don't remember anything about it. I just Google it every single time. But anyway, what I was saying is I redo them so often that my honor on the leaderboard doesn't really go up because you don't get honor for redoing them. But I'm giving myself honor because I redo them a lot, and I don't tend to do too many level 5s or level 6s because I think that for me the level 7s teach me more for where I am right now. And the level 6s, some level 6s are good too because it's more complex thought of how to solve the problem using the knowledge that I have. But beyond level 6, it starts to get to be more math problems. At least that's what I've found. So yeah, there's our leaderboard. I've been sitting at number 7 forever. And I've been at 2075-ish forever. And people just won't come and get me. I'm waiting for them to come and get me. They won't. But anyway. All right. Does anyone have any questions about Codewars or the prep method while I'm here? Yeah. I grind Codewars the way you comment on Reddit posts. I like that old coder chick. That's funny. Yeah, but I'm just always refactoring and just drilling them. Like some of them there's a few that I just look at the name of it, and I've done it so many times that I don't even need to read the description anymore. This isn't one of them. Obviously, I haven't done this one, but I'm like, oh, map a list over list. Oh, yeah, that's the one where I have to do reduce, split, join, whatever. And when I get to that point, I know that I need to lay off that one for a while because I'm not actually learning anything anymore. I'm just regurgitating code. But yeah. Do I have a schedule plan? So that's a really great question. On my Twitter, which I'll link it. Let me get a link for you guys. On my Twitter, I have a poll to see what time works best for people. Because basically, I'm available most weekday mornings, Pacific time. And I can be available in the afternoon, around 2 Pacific, or also in the evening. So I want to set a pretty regular schedule, but I want to do it when there's going to be people to hang out with. I don't want to hang out by myself. So do me a favor and answer that Twitter poll if you think there's even a chance that you want to tune in, because that'll give me an idea of when to stream. Because I was thinking mornings, but then it might be fun to do maybe one day a week. I'm thinking twice a week or 3 times a week. It'd be fun to do a different time, at least for one of them. But please answer that Twitter poll. Good question. Any other questions about prep? Have you all been practicing prep? It can be hard for me. I think that the final piece, pseudocode, is by far the hardest one for me. And then parameters are kind of hard for me because a lot of times I won't think of this is hard. I won't think of the questions that I should have asked about the parameters until I start to write the examples. Does that make sense? So getting the parameter questions all out of the way at the start is also a challenge. I'd say those are my 2 biggest challenges with prep. So, yeah. What do you guys think of my transition? Do we like it? I think I like it. It'd be cool to have a green screen like Leon and just have garden gnomes walking back and forth behind me. Yeah, the exact same thing, right? With prep. I wonder if you're like me, Devika, where growing up you were always the kid in class. I was always the kid in class at math class when the teacher would say, make sure to show your work. And I hated that. I was never that kid. I was always I just did it in my head. I did all the steps in my head. I couldn't even put into words what I did. I did it though, and I have the answer. And it was more work for me to actually figure out how to show my work than to just do the work. And I feel like pseudocode is the equivalent in coding to showing your work. And it's hard. If it does not come naturally to you, it is hard. And to those people who are good at narrating their day and good at saying what they're thinking and just turning a switch on to make that, I'm so jealous of you, because it is not easy for me. Like, I can't believe I've been talking for an hour and a half. That is not natural for me. But yeah. So, all right. I think I'm going to let you all go. Thank you so much for hanging out. Seriously. When I have a schedule figured out, I will put it on my Twitter. So give that a follow. And I will put it probably in the Discord. And I'm going to try to figure out how to set up my Twitch like how other people have it, where they have all that information below, like down here. Yeah. So thanks, guys. All right. I'm going to try to end stream now. Oh, should we raid somebody? We should raid somebody. Here, wait. Okay, wait. We should totally raid somebody. Here, wait. Okay. I don't even know who to raid. Is anybody streaming? If we hung out for another half hour, we could raid James. Do you want to raid? Okay, let's raid somebody. How do I do this? I don't even know how to raid. Does anyone know? Does anyone know how to raid? How do you do it? I literally don't know how to raid. Let's Google it. How to rate on Twitch. Online tech tips. I am a middle-aged woman who needs to Google how to rate on Twitch. All right. I don't want to know what it is. Just tell me how to do it. Okay, how to rate. Type. What? Okay, type /raid. Oh, I do it in my Twitch chat. Okay. We're going to try it, you guys. We're going to try it. Okay. We're going to raid Jessie in Sendalosaurus because she's cool. And she's online. So that's basically my criteria. Oh, can you hear my computer? It's mad at me right now. Okay, we're going to try it. It might work. It might not work. Okay. We're doing it, you guys. What? Okay. Thanks for tuning in. Hang out with Jessie for a few minutes. She is very smart. So ask her stuff because she's very smart. So, hey. All right, here we go. I think I click this button. Do I do it?